Yeah, hi, this is how I did this week. Pretty happy. 2,575, which is the top 4% this round, and the top rank 7,000, just under 7,000 this week. And I moved into the top 8,000, which is pretty good. So I'm happy with that. There are a few things I do have few concerns. It's particularly with one team, because their players just aren't playing as well as what I want. We've got Jordan Dawson here. Happy with his performance, picking him. Chose him at the right time, and it's just paying off. Phenomenal. He's actually the most expensive defender out of my side, which is a huge shock. So yeah, I'm very happy with him. It's probably changed my season around, to be honest. And you got George Hewitt, 87, a little disappointing. I think one of his lowest scores might even be his lowest score this season. I'm not too sure. It'd be definitely one of his lowest scores this season. I mean, everyone has him. We're all going to have a down game now and then. And Carlton were just a little disappointing um, on the weekend. So, yeah, they're disappointing Carlton. Jack Crisp, 79, did okay in the last quarter. It was disappointing for the first three quarters. So, yeah, they could have, look, disappointing from Crisp. Hopefully bounces back, despite Collingwood winning, only scored 79. I don't know if it's due to Nick Dacos, the reason why he's scoring a little lower this season. He's probably been a little disappointing overall this season. Not a complete disaster like a few other players, but it's just, yeah. Look, a lot of people have him, so it's not the end of the world, but, you want at least 100 plus from him at the bare minimum, but he hasn't gotten those mega 130, 140 scores from this season, and that's just the reason why I'm been a bit disappointed too. Nick Dacos, 143. Now he's just, yeah, I wasn't expecting this. I mean, I was expecting about an 80 or 90 or maybe even a 70 or a 60 at some point. But the last month, he's just probably saved my season really in Supercoach. Look, holding on to him has just been phenomenal. And look, now he's a higher price than Short and Ridley, and he's only averaged 5 less than Ridley for the season on average. So it's just, he's been an absolute phenomenal player this season. And look, he's going to be probably a future Brownlow medalist, I reckon. 482k. I wouldn't have expected this. A lot of people trade him out for around about 400, and now I've got extra 80k to play with, and he's probably, yeah. I decided to hold on to Tom Stewart simply because of having Nick Dacos, and holding on to Nick Dacos has just been an excellent decision so far. Let's hope he can keep this up until Tom Stewart comes back. I might even get rid of Ridley. Still got 6 trades left. I was thinking about getting him to a Sinclair or Doherty, but now he's gone down to 471. If I was going to trade Ridley, it would have to be in the first during his buy rounds. But then again, I needed him for the buys, so it's a double-edged sword with that. Probably should have traded him out earlier this season. I mean, he did well in the third quarter, which saved his round. To be honest, if City didn't kick in accurately, we probably would have lost, and Ridley would have probably scored a little less. But yeah, 80 is just not good enough. Not his worst score. But I'm not too sure if I'll be able to afford a Sinclair now after him getting like 140, and it's just probably the reason why I could have scored a bit higher this week. Isn't necessarily the players that I had; it's the players I didn't have. Sicily, Sinclair, they went bananas. I think Petrarca too. I didn't have those players. I think Liberatore too. Not many people have Liberatore, but I was thinking about getting rid of him. Fahini, I wish now, probably in hindsight, wish I got Liberatore early in the year, maybe for Butters at some point, which would end up being a good trade, and it would have only cost me a little bit extra. So those little things that probably could have made a difference. Oliver, 176, yeah, happy with him, phenomenal. Chose the right option with the captain, took the gamble with VC with Meals. And yeah, look, we were expecting a good score from him. He got over nearly 200 last week. I think was it 90 last year, 193 last year, and he almost backed it up. And Was looking to get like 200 at one point with a phenomenal first half. Did die off a little bit in the second half. Imbrachaka just killed Adelaide. And yeah, it's just fantastic stuff from Oliver. Led 130, came back strong, I think, in the last quarter. Was a little disappointed in the first half, but finished off strong, 130. Phenomenal pickup. I'm surprised not everyone got him. I know he's a bit expensive. Not everyone probably could have afforded him, but yeah, I'm happy with Laird. It's another reason why I've slowly got in the ranks. 104 from McRae, a little disappointing. Everyone has him. It hasn't been probably quite as good this season as last year. It's been a bit of a roller coaster pick. Probably not quite as consistent. I think it's the first month. At the start of the season, it was pretty good, but he's just started off a little. It's been a bit of a roller coaster. I mean, 104. I mean, everyone has him. It's not a big deal. 135 from Neil. A few people had it. Took his VC option. Look at okay score. Just a standard, Neil performance. Seek Miller, 153. Outstanding score from him. If you had him as a captain, you would be pretty happy with that. Not as good as Oliver's score, but look, I reckon Oliver might even win the Brownlow. To be honest, he's probably been the best player this season. Him and Neil, either way. Yeah, Miller, happy with him. Fantastic score. A lot of people got Miller now, so it's not a huge advantage unless you had him as a captain. But Oliver, if you had him, Oliver would have won this week for the captain, extra 23 points. So yeah, Mills. This is where it's just Sydney players have been disappointing the last couple of weeks. They've just let me down. They've probably cost me from a great score into an excellent, phenomenal score. That top, 1,000 score, weekly score, and that's probably cost me for that. I probably could have got the top 1,000 the last couple of weeks for the round if it wasn't for if Mills and Heaney just performed better. It's just been disappointing and underwhelming performance. I mean, City did lose this week. Actually, Essendon did outscore on the scoreboard and with Supercoach scoring. So it doesn't surprise me a little. Mills actually did okay in the last, but the first three quarters were just terrible, and it was looking to an even worse score. So could have been a complete disaster with Mills. I know he's still fairly young, and he's going to be a roller coaster pick. Wasn't as dominant as last time he played Essendon. I think because Essendon are a bit better now last month, as we've seen. So, but hopefully Mills bounce back. Who they've got? They've got Bulldogs. It's going to be a tough matchup. Yeah, not expecting a good score. Hopefully he scores at least 100, 110. I'll be happy with that. Bray Shaw, 134. Happy with Bray Shaw. Good job from him. Bounced back this week after a little disappointing last week. Against Carlton was always going to be a bit of a tough matchup. Yeah, look, we'll take 134. Happy with that. Was on track to do a little better. I think third quarter was a bit disappointing, but he came back strong in the last. Got the 134. Cripps, 98. He's been a little disappointing since bringing him in. That's one of those players that, it would have been good to start having him at the first few rounds. He had an excellent start to the season, but he's just dropped off a bit. You probably could have got away with not having Cripps now. He would have been probably a good player to trade off if you had the luxury. So maybe even his teammate Walsh or Parrish. Probably might have been a few other options you could have gone. So tough with the Carlton midfield. You got him, Walsh, Chera, Hewitt. Which is why I don't think Walsh would be finishing a top 5. I don't think. He's still a good player, but it's just too much competition with the Carlton midfield. It's a similar situation with the Bulldogs. And in terms of bench options, Owens and Clark didn't play. Rioli was disappointing. Only 29. Scored the 1 goal. Don't know if he gets selected, which may have a bit of issues for cover. I think Jason Clark too. Hopefully plays next week. Rioli, it's not a guarantee who they play at Gold Coast. It's probably an important match. They're playing for a top final and a top 8 position too. So not too sure if he plays next week. Hoping he does, but it's not 100%, particularly in a side like Richmond. O'Brien, happy with him. 127. Got a huge. Wits only scored 60, which is a huge advantage for me, having a 60-point differential and since I picked O'Brien, he's outscored Witts in 2 of the 3 weeks, and overall he's scored more points. And I probably gained a lot more money in hand too from that, which is why when O'Brien, I had a feeling that Witts was going to have a few poor games. And look, a lot of people went Witts over O'Brien, which I thought, I'll take an advantage, get the 100k, save 100k, and it's just proven to be a good decision picking O'Brien over Witts. Look, Witts is a good player. I think he is underrated. Until this season, but look, he was going to perform well against and the opposition didn't have a really good, strong ruckman in, so in Jackson being out and Gore not playing, so I was expecting probably a bit bigger at one point, but he did die away a little the second half, a bit O'Brien, but still 127, happy with that. And happy with a 124 from Darcy as well, although they did play with no good ruckman either, Port Adelaide. So I was expecting big scores from these two. They got good scores, but not the 140s, that we wanted. And I was expecting at least a Darcy or O'Brien to get 140, and they didn't. They were close. It's just those little things. You just want that little extra score, just to help you for the round. Because O'Brien's a pod, so need him to go bananas. But he did do better than Witts, which is what I want. A lot better than Witts. So I gained a huge advantage over the competition over that. Bontempelli, 108. Everyone has him now. Or every good side has him. So, this is an average score, not his best, not his worst. The Dogs were a little disappointing, the Bulldogs. They're just, a bit of a roller coaster team, or not roller coaster, but inconsistent side. I know they're playing Brisbane, but, they're going to be, if they want to, challenge for the top 4 next season, they have to do a little bit better consistency-wise and play better against the top sides. Will Brodie, 96, maybe a little disappointing. I mean, it's okay for his amount of game time he gets. He just doesn't get enough time on ground. I think he probably needs to work on his fitness still a little, which has probably been his biggest weakness, to be honest. 96 is okay, but not as good as 100. We probably want 100 for his price point now. Look, he's been phenomenal this season, so I wasn't expecting an average of 106 this season. Josh Dunkley, 100, just your standard stuff from Bulldogs, but not damaging enough. Pretty much. And look, just your standard score. I'm not going to go too much into it. Parker, 98. It was good for the first 3 quarters, particularly I think the first half. It was pretty good, but then it died away in the last quarter, just like Sydney did. And this goes on to the other guy, Heaney, and I've got a lot to say about him. So, 67's not good enough. And since I brought him here and he's just at the crap scores, hasn't even got 80. Look, I would have done better with Peter Wright. Not only would have been cheaper, but he's actually outscored Heaney by a fair bit now overall. And it's just killed me having this pick. I'd rather having Liberatore in than Heaney. I knew this going in, that this might have been a bit of a... I wasn't happy bringing him in, but there wasn't really much other options. I could have took the gamble with Wright, since, I don't mind the player, but it is a bit of a roller coaster. But it's a bit of a hit and miss with this having Butters getting injured. I wish I traded Butters out a while ago, and for Liberatore would have been a lot better position where I am now. Than having Butters and then him getting down, and it's just a pain. So hopefully Heaney can bounce back against the weaker side. We thought he was going to score well against the Bombers, but he didn't. I think because Sydney, just accuracy wasn't there in the third quarter. And Heaney is just, he had a good start to the year. He's just dropped off. A lot of people have him at the start and they traded him, and then people got him back due to Butters. So I don't really wanted Heaney in the first place, but, probably wasn't really any other options that ran that price point. Either that or you go with a Liberatore like I just stated. I wish I had traded Liber for Butters at some point. And then Butters had a few good weeks, and it's just... Roses, 49. Yeah, not quite good enough, I'm afraid. I was hoping for a 70 or even a 60 would have been okay. He probably has to go now. He's probably reached his price point and his break even. See if English can come back in. Don't think I've got enough money to trade out though. I think Clark or probably a Paul Curtis, but Paul Curtis I probably need him for job security. But I need to take Roses off field. But this relates to the other issue here because now I've got a 500k player on the bench, and then you got Nick Dacos is performing really well. Had a game of his life. And I'm not too sure what to do. I'll probably have to keep Dacos for a few weeks, but once English drops in price, I'm probably going to have to trade a Roses. But I think that I want Roses to drop in price too, because he's probably reached his max value, which is why I was hoping him to get like a 70, that way he can hold his value and earn a bit more money. So his break even might be low next week. Who Gold Coast got? They got Richmond, so not too sure that could go either way. With Roses, he probably has to go. I want him to go, but I need Dacos to play, and I can't get rid of Dacos. I mean, Ware is actually doing alright. Depending on Dacos' break even is going to be low now. So, we'll have to hold on to Dacos, I think, for another week. Ware got scored 89, which is good for his job security. So, in terms of defence, phenomenal job security, I think, we've got now. So, in terms of Tom Stewart, hopefully Nick Dacos still performs well. It's the midfield I'm really worried for cover after Rioli's poor game. Curtis should keep his spot. I mean, it's North Melbourne. And hopefully Jason Clark comes back in. Which I'm not too sure, depending how well he played well in the VFL. So yeah, it's a bit of the forward line, a bit of a worry, and a midfield cover, a bit of a worry. So we just want to hold these trades just in case I do have to field a donut. And that may prove a huge advantage over players who don't have 6 trades, because some people only have a couple of trades left. So if you have an injury to a huge key player, you're in a bit of trouble. Look, overall, I'm happy with this round. A few things could have gone a little bit better. Yeah, it's just the Sydney players got a few question marks over with Heaney and Mills, I think, because I think, what's his name, came back in, Dylan Stevens is chewing it. The Mills is on ball time, he's inside time, and it's just been a bit of a mess with the Sydney players the last couple of weeks. Even Parker, but everyone has him. Hopefully things turn around. Fingers crossed. But yeah, overall I'm happy. Hopefully I can crack in a top 5k. I reckon I still can. I just need things just to keep going, and hopefully no one gets injured. Thank you for watching. Let me know how you guys went. Thanks.